Glad to be back in Aggieland.
I am. I'm delighted to be back. A little less of a celebration with you guys than it was with everybody else here last time I was here.
Didn't bring the band.
That's why I didn't recognize anybody, right?
Mike, where does the transition stand right now?
Well, there's several different levels. You know, obviously the one that most people are interested in is scheduling. You know, we've got next year's schedule done. So our transition team is working on schedules for 13 and beyond. We hope to be able to bring to our ADs early this next month some ideas, and then hopefully looking for a recommendation to our presidents by Destin on the scheduling side. You know, then there are several game management issues, and we've had their team out our way. We brought our team back here, and we're going to bring our team back here again in early May. We have in the SEC a new coaches orientation program, and it's been around for a very, very long time. And that program requires new coaches or coaches who have been gone from the league 4 years or more to come to Birmingham and spend a day with our staff, and where we go over what we do and a lot of our rules and regulations, compliance issues and other issues, particularly where our rules differ from NCAA rules or rules from the conference in which they might have come. But that would mean all the coaches at A&M would have to come to Birmingham. And so we've put together our orientation team, and we're coming here, and we'll spend the day, and we'll explain to them what our expectations are and what the rules are, and we'll go over our television plans with them. And then we'll sit with the administrators and go through, you know, game management issues. We have our own regulations, NCAA regulations, and have a good day. And that way we don't have to bring everybody to Birmingham. So that's all part of it, Chuck. There's more pieces, but that's a part of it.
Mike, TCU is putting finishing touches on a $150 million stadium project. There are 2 schools in Texas that are joining the WAC this year. There are schools like Houston Baptist that are talking about starting football. Why, given this economy, do you think that college sports seems to be an area in which colleges are willing or even eager to spend money at this point in time?
Well, good question. You know, the popularity of sports in general in this country, and the popularity of college sports specifically, really has never been greater. A lot of, you know, there's the old metaphor, I guess, or analogy, but that, you know, the athletics are the front porch to many institutions in the way in which they are able to become better known. And given, I think, you know, I guess I can only speculate because I'm not in that place, you know, that has value for them. And I've always been a proponent of the concept that, and you know, you can be cynical if you want to, but always I've been a proponent of the fact that I really do believe, from my own personal experience and others, that there really is an educational value in participating in intercollegiate athletics, and that it is a legitimate and appropriate adjunct to the classroom. And you know, hopefully institutions realize that and are willing to put the kind of resources into that aspect of education.
Well, just speaking from the SEC, what have you seen that the SEC institutions have gained from this boom period that the SEC has enjoyed in football specifically and in other sports in general?
Well, I guess maybe this room is sort of testimony to the fact that you know, our institutions and our conference have gained a great deal of interest, and you know, when you think about, if you think about athletics in terms of athletics is one thing. If you think of terms of athletics as a way of gaining recognition for an institution from an enrollment management point of view, and where institutions have an interest in you know, attracting a diverse group of people from all parts of the country or internationally, the fact that one of the ways in which they get known is through the athletics side of things.
So even with everything, it's a good business proposition from every aspect. of
Yeah,
the point.
that's your word. You know, I know that's where you're going, and that's your word. And then we can enter into a long conversation about revenue production versus business. But you know, for us, we've been very fortunate. We've been able to develop, sustain, and implement significant athletic programs. And actually, last year, SEC institutions, I think this number's about right. I think we've contributed about $30 million back into the academic side of things from all 12 of our institutions. So, you know, for us and the SEC and all 14 of us, I think the intercollegiate athletic experience has been a positive one for us.
How nice was it when y'all were looking to expand that you simply had to cross a river as opposed to fly over states to move western in terms of adding Texas A&M?
Yeah. Well, you know, we are absolutely delighted to have Texas A&M in the SEC, and I think I've told you this before, but I was sitting at media day. It was in the middle of our media days. We do, for those of you who don't know, our media days in July, they're 3 days, and it used to be 4 a day for 3 days, but now we'll do it a little differently. We bring in coaches and at least 2 student athletes from each school, and we were in the midst of that, and I was sitting on my porch back home, and when Bowen called, and it really, we were delighted that A&M had an interest in us. You know, we weren't necessarily out looking for anybody, but and it's been great for us, and it's great for them.
Mike, in terms of, you know, the exposure of the SEC, where do things stand on possibly reopening your TV contract and the SEC branded now?
Well, I think as I've said before, we have built into our contract, particularly with ESPN, something that is really called a look-in. And because of the 15-year term, which at that time was historic in terms of length, we knew that things could change. We knew technology would change. We knew lots of things would change. And so we have now, using that, we are now in the midst of conversations with both of our television partners and it's still early, and those conversations will continue on for some time. But in the final analysis, you know, we're comfortable that as we move ahead, that our television relationship will reflect the additions of Texas A&M and Missouri.
And the possibility of an SEC branded network, will that be a byproduct of what?
Well, I've read a lot about that. But the one thing I notice when I read about it is nobody's quoted from the SEC and nobody's quoted from ESPN, and you know, as of this afternoon, nobody will be quoted from the SEC or ESPN. You know, there are a lot of options on the table, Chuck, and we're exploring all different kinds of options. So we'll see what emerges.
One analogy I've heard is that basically ESPNU has become almost
Yeah.
the third tier.
You know, that's an interesting, you know, we had 420 events televised last academic year, and CBS does about 14 of our football games. And ESPN's contract with us requires them to do 5,500 events over 15 years, and that's on average about 366 events a year.
So they're beating the average.
So yeah, they're beating the average. That's right, exactly.
I had some BCS questions.
I've got no BCS answers, so
We'll move on then.
you can. You know, let's just cut to the chase here on BCS. We're gonna meet Monday. It would really be silly for me to start talking about the BCS when we're gonna start meeting again on Monday, and we're gonna meet all week long, and you guys will cover the event. I think quite thoroughly. So I really don't have anything to add about the BCS.
Do you have any ideas about what you might want to take out of that meeting or what the goals are?
Well, I do, yes.
Can you expound on that?
No.
Okay.
I mean, it's not productive. I mean, we're gonna sit down. I think after the last time we met, we shared with you things that we were talking about. I think we're gonna go back and talk about them, and hopefully refine our thinking further. You know, this is, again, I said over and over again, Chuck said this 100 times, it's a marathon, not a sprint. And we don't really have to make a decision until the summertime. And this set of meetings is our annual meetings, but it's really just another step in the process.
So it's more just a sharing of ideas.
Well, it'll be what it'll be. I mean, it will be a sharing of ideas, and hopefully you can begin to refine, just because we need to do that. But, for me to comment on anything prior to that meeting, I think would be counterproductive. I mean to be respectful when I answer that, but
But at the same time, have you gotten any feedback from your 14 members about, is there any consensus from the SEC about?
we're going to start talking about that. Our meetings come up in May and June, and so we will begin as a league to consider some of these things. But again, the timing is such and designed as such that we have not only our time to talk as commissioners, but time to talk as conferences, all of us, and then even come back together again and see where we all are. So again, it's a step along the way.
Mike, how thrilled have you been with the response around here to the move to the SEC when you heard the about ticket sales skyrocketing?
I saw that.
Apparel, things of that nature.
It's been extremely rewarding. The enthusiasm of everyone associated with Texas A&M is contagious, and there are lots of things about Texas A&M that really are quite special. The traditions, the the 12th man, the commitment and loyalty of students and fans as they as fans to come and stay and watch the games to the end. The on the field pre-game, post-game. I had to learn what fish meant, but I do now. And that tradition, post-game tradition, all of that is, I think, very, very special. The fact that I said today to some administrators the idea that cheerleaders are not cheerleaders, they're yell leaders. And alumni are not alumni, they're former students. All of that, I think, reflects really very, very well on the institution. And when we were looking and thinking of, about Texas A&M, nothing was lost on us about the fact that culturally those traditions are, fit very nicely with so many of the traditions we have, and the passion and loyalty that your fans have here really fit very, very nicely with the same kind of passion and loyalty we have. Last year we drew, it's interesting, it's a segue here, but if you don't mind, last year we drew about over 6.3 million people to our football games. And last year we drew over 2 million to our baseball games. And so, I think that tells you how we feel, and I think you folks feel the same way about things here. And of course, the academic standing of the institution is first rate. And another thing that gets lost a little bit, because we focus so much on football, but it's the broad-based quality. We have about 5,000 student athletes in the SEC, and in every one of our sports, we're trying to compete for the national championship. We've won. I spoke to a local chamber of commerce yesterday, and I think these are right, that we've won, I think, 35 national championships in the last 7 years, and 50 national championships since 2000. And we got 3 consecutive in baseball, and in the last 7 years, we won 3 in basketball. And somebody told me we had 6 in football. And so, it's really been a very special time, and we expect Texas A&M to be a real part of all that.
What has been the most difficult part of the transition so far in terms of adding the two?
I think scheduling probably, that's really tough. That's why I don't do it. We've got a transition team that does that. I mean, that really takes some skills that we've had our folks doing that, and we're still doing it. I mean, it's still not done yet.
In terms of that, are you going to present a couple different options beyond this year? Is that the plan, or is the plan just to have like one model that plan A?
I think we'll do. If we've done it the way we have done in the past, there'll be several different options. That when we did the one for 12, which was a single year. We had a couple. And again, I'd like to remind people that this coming year's schedule is unrelated to how we've done things in the past, and I think unrelated to how we do things in the future. We just had to work very quickly in a given year, and everyone really cooperated. We were very pleased. You know, we try to do things in a way that we did not have to disrupt or break contracts or anything. We got it done without really hurting anybody in the process, so that was an important piece of what we were trying to do.
Missouri raise any concerns about playing 3 straight football games here, although they've had success here as well?
Well, you know, everybody paid. If you look at that schedule and you took it from every institution standpoint, everybody had to give something to make that thing work. That was really something that I was really impressed with when I sat with our ADs and they made the final decision. And you knew that everybody in the room had to give something in order to make that thing work, and they did that.
You already have some coaches making suggestions, I think, as to what they would like to see. South Carolina, I think, has weighed in on that one. Any thoughts about, you know, because again, like you said, 14 is a little bit of an awkward number. There are several possibilities.
Yeah.
Any thoughts on Steve Spurrier's suggestion on that?
Well, the first thing I always know when we're talking with our coaches is that the First Amendment's alive and well in the SEC. And yeah, I said yesterday to somebody, and I think it was printed, that you know, at first blush, I think that's a difficult thing to do. You know, I'd like to think that any game between conference teams has equal value. But again, we'll look forward to that discussion. It'll take place.
2 more questions. Have you talked with your television partners about September 8th with maybe a doubleheader, or Missouri and Georgia, how that might unfold?
Yeah, we have, and we still are, and you know, we see that as a very special day. And my goal personally is to try to find a way to get to both places during the same, you know, during a somewhat limited window. But we see that day as a very special day, and we're also thinking about what we can do between, let's say, our football media days and September the 8th to make that a special period of time so that we can welcome Texas A&M and Missouri in an appropriate fashion.
Commissioner, you said the scheduling process is still ongoing. Do you have any updates for us for next year's basketball schedule?
No, we do. You know, interesting enough, someone asked me that today. We're on our usual timetable for basketball. This is about when we usually do it and get it done sometime in the early summer. You know, basketball is a little more complicated in terms of television because we televise so many games. You know, all of our conference games on the men's side are televised. And then we also have the Big East SEC Challenge early in December. So there's a lot to do. So we're still working on that.
Thank you all very much.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. Thank you for being here.